What if you could skip your morning coffee and, in 3 minutes, generate a clear, centered surge of psychic energy, an inner jolt of clarity that feels like waking up from the inside out? Tonight, before you pour that cup, I'll show you a simple, embodied routine, rooted in practices attributed in certain Gnostic manuscripts found at Nag Hammadi, that many people report as energizing and clarifying. It uses 3 subtle points on your body as a map: origin, perception, and command. You'll check them, activate them, and speak a short affirmation to anchor the shift. Try it later today and comment recognition if you notice anything at all. A few words of context. Centuries ago, a number of texts now called Gnostic circulated among small communities. Some of those manuscripts, fragments and whole works discovered in Egypt in the mid-20th century, contain images and sayings that frame spiritual knowing as a kind of remembered origin, an inner recognition. The Gospel of Philip, for instance, speaks in symbolic language about points of relationship between spirit and body. I'm not saying these manuscripts replace other traditions. I'm saying they present an embodied map, an invitation to test something for yourself. That's what we'll do together. A direct, verifiable check on your own body and experience. We live in a culture that reaches for stimulants, coffee, sugar, screens, because we want focus, warmth, a quick lift. That pattern trains us to look outward for what can be found inside. The habit of automatic caffeine can leave you dependent on the external jolt rather than your intrinsic clarity. This routine is a gentle alternative. A short, ritualized practice you can do instead of your first cup. It's not a miracle pill. It's an invitation to discover a felt shift, sometimes subtle, sometimes surprising, through attention and touch. Now let's move into the practical part. I'll guide you to locate 3 marks on your body. Think of this as a self-check, a way to verify whether a subtle trace of recognition lives in your flesh. As you follow, stay curious. If you feel nothing, that's normal. If you feel warmth, tingling, or a small sense of opening, that's also normal. People's experiences vary. If you have any medical conditions or concerns, consider this a gentle practice and consult a healthcare professional about changing stimulant habits. This is not medical advice. First mark, the base of the skull. This is the point of origin. Sit comfortably, upright but relaxed. Place one hand lightly at the base of your skull, where the skull meets the neck, just below the hairline and above the top of the spine. Use gentle pressure. You're not forcing anything. Move your fingertips in small circles and scan the surface with curiosity. Some people notice a subtle textural change there, a slight ridge, a tender hollow, or simply a sense of grounding, like your attention anchoring. Breathe slowly and let your attention rest on that point. Imagine the idea of origin as a quiet ember, not flashy, but holding a steady heat. Second mark, the outer side of the hand, a line of perception. Turn your hand so the palm faces away from you and look to the outer edge running from the base of the pinky toward the wrist. With your opposite thumb, trace slowly along that edge, feeling for a faint ridge or line. You can run your finger back and forth, scanning with gentle attention. Some people feel a subtle texture, a tiny groove, or a sensation of coolness or warmth along that line. Others notice a subtle responsiveness when they press lightly, an almost magnetic quality. Whatever you feel, name it to yourself quietly. I notice texture, or I notice warmth. Then allow the sensation to be as it is. Third mark, the center of the chest, command and center. Place 2 fingers lightly in the center of your sternum, slightly above the heart, not over the heart itself, but along the breastbone. Press gently and bring your awareness inward. Some people report a radiating warmth or a spreading calm. Others feel nothing at all. That's okay. What matters is your observation. Allow the breath to soften the chest around your touch. Imagine this place as the seat of steady intention, where inner direction gathers. After you have scanned these 3 points, base of skull, outer hand edge, and sternum, Take a moment and notice. Were any of them more sensitive than the others? Did any memory arise, even a whisper, a face, a color, a music, or a fleeting sense of being known? These are not tests to pass or fail. They are invitations to notice what your body already holds. A quick reminder before we continue. If this is new to you, move slowly. If you feel strong physical discomfort at any point, stop the practice and consult a professional. This routine is about subtle inner shifts, not dramatic physical activation. Now we'll do the activation sequence, the part that can replace your first cup of coffee. This is short, simple, and ritualized. Use fresh breath and speak the words aloud when we get to them. You may choose to sit or stand. The important thing is that you're comfortable and focused. Begin by placing your hand at the base of the skull again. Rest there and let a few slow, natural breaths move through you. Breaths that are long enough to give your nervous system a chance to notice. As you breathe in, picture a gentle clearing. As you breathe out, imagine settling deeper into your spine. Let your intention be simple: to wake from within. Keep your hand there until your breathing feels calmer, and let the pressure be steady and light. Next, lift your hand and slowly trace the outer edge of your other hand, the perception line, from the base of the pinky toward the wrist. Move with attention, not haste. Feel the skin under your finger. Let your breath continue its steady rhythm. Allow your awareness to be like a lamp moving along the edge, noticing any small changes in temperature, texture, or sensation. Finally, bring both hands to the center of your chest and press gently into the sternum. Allow the contact to be reassuring. With your hands there, take one more slow, steady breath and speak the 9-word affirmation clearly and confidently. I recognize my origin. I activate my perception. I declare my command. Say it aloud in the first person. You may repeat it once more if that feels right. Speak it with quiet authority, as if you are verifying a simple fact about yourself. The words anchor the activation. They map to origin, perception, and command, the 3 points you just explored. After you speak the affirmation, rest your hands on your lap or knees and sit quietly for a moment. Notice any shifts in your inner landscape. A small brightening behind the eyes, a clearing in mental chatter, a settling in the chest, or even nothing at all. Observe without judging. If a wave of skepticism arises, this can't be working, or I felt nothing, treat that thought as predictable. In Gnostic language, these interruptions are sometimes described metaphorically as archontes, forces of distraction or control. Think of them simply as familiar mental habits. Notice them, and then return your attention gently to the body. You don't need to fight or argue with the thought. Simply acknowledge and let it pass. If you're replacing coffee with this routine in the morning, here's a practical way to fold it into your day. Give yourself 3 to 5 minutes before you reach for a stimulant. Begin seated or standing at the sink, wherever you usually make coffee. Place your hand at the skull for several calm breaths. Trace the line on your hand. Press the sternum and speak the affirmation. Finish by setting a small intention for the day. One phrase, one commitment, before you move into your schedule. This small ritual acts as a border between sleep and activity. It signals to your nervous system that clarity is available inside you, not just in a cup. Repeat the practice across several mornings if you can. Many people report that the first few times the sensations are subtle or even absent. Over time, repeated attention can create a sense of cumulative effect. Greater ease in accessing focus, more presence with indecisions, or simply fewer cravings for an immediate external jolt. Remember, individual experiences vary. Some people feel warmth, tingling, or a gentle surge. Others notice a quieting of anxious thought. None of these outcomes are promised. They are simply possible. There's another piece worth naming: resistance. When you try to shift an embedded habit like reaching for coffee, a part of your mind will object. It will call the old routine necessary or more efficient. That voice is not an enemy. It's a guardian of what's familiar. When it speaks, use the same gentle attention. Notice the thought, allow it to exist, and then return your attention to the body. Each time you do that, you practice sovereignty, the ability to choose where your attention lives. A short note about language you may hear in relation to this work. Texts that speak of a primordial source use terms like mon or monada to point to the origin of consciousness. In Gnostic metaphors, the demiurge is described as a controlling creative force, and archontes as agents of distraction or control. In our context, these terms are useful images, ways to name the forces that pull attention outward. I use them as poetic metaphors, not as doctrinal claims. The goal here is experiential verification. You test what the body reveals, and you form your own relationship to that discovery. If you're nervous about replacing caffeine because of withdrawal or medical concerns, keep this clear. This practice is not medical advice. If you take prescribed medication, or if you have conditions affected by stimulant changes, consult with a healthcare professional before making major adjustments. Use discretion. The practice is best seen as a complementary habit, a short morning ritual that may reduce the urge for an immediate external jolt. Some practical variations you can try after the basic sequence. If you're rushed, do a condensed version. Press the 3 points in quick succession and speak the affirmation once. If you have more time, extend each touch and allow an extra minute of silent attention between points. If your hands are cold, warm them briefly before touching. Tactile temperature can heighten sensitivity. If you prefer not to speak aloud in public, whisper the affirmation internally with the same clarity. The key is consistent, focused attention on the body and the words. Let me offer a few common reactions and how to approach them. If you feel nothing, do not conclude the practice failed. Book a few more mornings and keep the curiosity. If you feel dizziness or lightheadedness, slow your breath and lift your head. If it persists, stop and consult a professional. If you feel an emotional release, sudden sadness or laughter, allow it to pass and observe kindly. If you feel a gentle, energizing warmth, notice where it lives. Behind the eyes, in the throat, along the spine. Anchor it with a breath and the affirmation. Why speak a 9-word affirmation? Words shape attention. The 3 clauses map directly to the 3 points: origin, perception, and command. Saying them in the first person helps the nervous system register the claim as true for you. The phrasing, I recognize my origin, I activate my perception, I declare my command, is meant not as dogma, but as a clear declarative gesture. It invites your body and attention to align. Over time, a ritual does more than provide a momentary shift. It becomes a habit that cues your nervous system into a desired state. Coffee has its own ritualized actions: grinding, brewing, aroma. Ritual matters. By investing a few minutes in this embodied routine, touch, breath, words, you create a new ritual that can offer some of the clarity you seek without an external stimulant. A word about community. If you try this practice and notice something, you're invited to share the single word recognition in the comments below. That small signal helps build a quiet map of collective experience without turning the practice into comparison. If you prefer not to share, simply make a note for yourself. Your path is private and valid. Before we close, one more gentle reminder. This is an exploratory practice. The texts that inspired this framing are ancient, and their language is symbolic. I frame them as potential tools, not as replacements for other spiritual paths, not as definitive historical claims, and not as medical protocol. Use the practice responsibly and consult health professionals about any concerns. If you found this inviting and you'd like more guided activations that build on this map of origin, perception, and command, subscribe to the channel to follow deeper activations and join a community trying these practices with care. You can expect future sessions that expand on breathwork, subtle attention training, and other short rituals designed to help you access inner clarity without relying on external stimulants. Thank you for taking these moments. Whether you felt a subtle shift or simply enjoyed the quiet attention, you've practiced sovereignty, testing your own experience instead of taking someone else's answer. Remember, this is a small, practical bridge between the world of habit and the world of inner recognition. Try it tomorrow morning instead of your first cup. See what changes when you wake from the inside out.